Hi, welcome to Bookies, brought to you from sunny Northern California where the cowboys are all hat and no horse. This is our 8th episode. I'm Bear. Today we're going to discuss The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. Now, I'm not going to lie, tears did seem to roll down my cheeks towards the end of this novel. Not sure how that happened. The Book Thief gets a Bookies rating of 4.5 stars out of 5, so let's get into it. Much of the underlying tone and backstory for this novel was inspired by the World War II stories that were told by the author's mom and dad, both German and Austrian immigrants. The story, of course, is Zusak painting the colors of the novel in and around that experience and family lore. The Book Thief is written from the first-person perspective of Death, as Death narrates the lives of an orphan girl, Liesl Meminger, her step-parents, Hans and Rosa Huberman, her best friend, Rudy Steiner, and the Jewish man that the Hubermans are hiding in their basement, Max Vandenburg. There aren't many characters in the novel. As such, the narrative encompasses a rather narrow field of view, therefore allowing Zusak to really focus in on the relationships between the characters. An interesting thing here is Zusak does not present death as some kind of grim reaper. That would be easy and frankly kind of boring. Instead, Zusak imbues death with human-like characteristics and compassion for the dead. He lifts souls from their bodies and cradles them in their multitudes. At one point, Death even muses to himself about the question of evil. How can God, goodness perfected, permit evil? Notwithstanding, he gives that question kind of a shrug of the shoulders, trusting that God knows best, and he goes about his work collecting souls so that the righteous dead can rest in paradise. It's fair to say that Death is seeing people at their very worst, and he feels compelled to tell a story of humans at their very best. And so he tells the story about the book thief, those she loves and those who love her. Zusak could have given us a rather dark story, morose in tone. Had he done so, though, this novel would be more in the nature of The Boy in the Striped Pajamas or Schindler's List. Instead, the novel is more Jojo Rabbit. It's infused with the small absurdities of everyday life, even during a time of war. So how does Zusak bring pathos and humor into a town placed in Bavaria, the very birthplace of the Nazi Party? How does he bring humor into a place and time when American bomber pilots are raining hellfire and death on the just and the guilty alike? It wouldn't be right to say that Zusak humanizes the war. All war is dark human behavior. Instead, he softens it with relationships built in love. So let's start with how he writes about children at wartime. Despite war, kids are still going to be kids. And Zusak paints a vivid picture of childhood. Consider, for example, Rudy Steiner, painting himself black and running naked around the town, pretending to be Olympian Jesse Owens. Pretty bold move in Nazi Germany, right? But Rudy doesn't give a damn about the racial purists. Maybe it's Rudy and Liesl joining a group of boys to steal apples from the orchard. Or maybe it's Rudy and Liesl's clumsy attempts to steal books from the library of the mayor. But I think Zusak captures childhood best in the very dialogue of the novel. Whether it be the pet names, always profane, that Rudy and Liesl call one another, or whether it be Liesl's words both before and after she thrashes a local bully. There's charm in all of this, simplicity and beauty, and this novel speaks true. Zusak further brings something good out of the war by exploring the relationship between Liesl and the adults surrounding her. Hans Huberman, the stepfather, who passionately loves and cares for Liesl, and who, most importantly, teaches her to read. Then there's Rosa Huberman, always ready with a derogatory name for Liesl, or anybody else in the town who offends her sense of swift, stern German justice, and whose liberal use of a wooden spoon as a tool of domestic war has made her feared up and down Himmel Street. But wouldn't it be easy to make Rosa Huberman the prototypical stepmother? This isn't Cinderella. Rosa would prove to be heroic in her love for Liesl, but just not in the traditional way with hugs and kisses. Lastly, consider Max, the Jew that the Hubermans are hiding in their basement. That's a very adult thing for a little girl like Liesl to manage. For one, Max is the very person that could get the whole Huberman family killed if he's discovered in their basement. In that regard, Max is essentially an object of trepidation at the beginning. In characteristic humorous style, Zusak writes, "Imagine smiling after a slap in the face. Then think of doing it 24 hours a day. This is the business of hiding a Jew." However, Max and Liesl become close friends, akin to kind of an older brother and sister relationship. He writes an absolutely beautiful story for Liesl, which he called The Standover Man. This is the story of Max growing up and coming to Liesl's home. The Standover Man is written on whitewashed pages of Mein Kampf. And yes, the symbology is true. Love does stand in front of evil. It covers over its hate and shines forth in its beauty. And I believe Zusak's strength is in drafting the dialogue between the characters. You know, sometimes there's just more beauty in being realistic in narrating a dialogue. Let kids speak like little kids. Let fascist Nazi wannabes speak like hateful fascists. Let kind stepfathers speak calmly with love, and let grumpy stepmothers yell expletives that can be heard up and down Himmel Street. And that's the charm in the way Zusak writes this particular story. The narrative isn't there to serve him. It's not there to stroke his ego by signaling to you, the reader, how talented he is. And frankly, there's too much of that in modern literature. No, Zusak's narrative serves no one but his characters. And in so doing, he lovingly brings each character to life, including death. The Book Thief is one of the best stories I've read this year. And I would love to be able to find noble words so that you would fully love this novel as much as I do. So you would share it with your friends, family, and especially with your children when they're ready. And I'm not going to tell you how this story ends. This is a no spoiler review. I'll let you find your own tears cascading down your cheeks. Just know that you should read it. And if you've read it already, reread it. I'm quite confident that my recommendation for you to read this book will do you good. I've never felt more confident in giving that recommendation. Spend time with this story and share it with others. That is exactly what I'm trying to do in making this review. Learn the lessons that this novel teaches. And if you like this content, please remember to smash that like button and subscribe. The more viewing time, the more subscribers that we have, it tells the YouTube algorithm to promote this video to others. And I'm essentially doing these book reviews because I want to encourage reading. Reading in our society is falling to the wayside. There's absolutely nothing wrong with video games or other diversions. But we always have to remember to read. Engaging with that art, it's a beautiful thing, and it will fill up your soul. So with that, I'm going to wish you a good day, and God bless.